Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to cover a girl-defined blog. So stay tuned and see what we're talking about today. Okay, so I have to admit it's been a minute since I've even looked at Girl Defined because Lori Alexander has been out there doing all kinds of fuckery on her Twitter page, and I've been paying more attention to her. And we all know that Biblical Gender Roles has some disgusting thing to say on his blogs, and there are days that I can't even pull that page up without wanting to just go and hug my toilet for a little while. So I finally decided to sit down and go, alright, fine. Let's see what fuckery Girl Defined is up to. So I sat down the other night, pulled up Girl Defined and said, alright, let's tackle this. So I pulled up Girl Defined. I have one written by Kristen Clark, who is one of the two from Girl Defined. And I pulled up a 7 life-giving truths for overcoming worry and fear. Now, kind of made my eye jerk a little bit, because at first she was talking about being single before she married her husband, Zach. Her and Zach have been married for like 8 years, 10 years, something like that. And she was talking about how she was worried if she would ever get married, or if she was like in her 40s before she found someone. And she was like, this like fear, worry, and lack of trust that was like going through her head. Then she was talking about when she met Zach, she was saying all of those worries were completely in vain. And then it was the planning of the wedding and how were they going to, feed everybody, and the wedding budget, and how was that going to work out, and then fear, worry, lack of trust. Okay? And so first off, being single, I think everybody goes through that point in their life where they're like, is this going to be just like who I am? Am I just going to be on my own for the rest of my life? I think that's a natural thing, because one, you have to find somebody that you're compatible with. I don't know if I've ever said it on this channel. I know I've told a lot of people this. At the point in my life when I met my husband, I had just decided that it was just going to be me and my children. Like, I wasn't going to be looking for anybody. I wasn't going to worry with anybody. It was just going to be me and my kids, and that was it. I wasn't thinking about dating anymore. And literally the next day after I made up my mind, I was not worried about meeting anybody or trying to look for anybody. My husband stepped up on my front porch, and boom. That was now 6 years ago, and I've been with him ever since. So things happen in their own time. The more you worry about it, the more you fret over it, the more you try to push it, the more it seems like it's never going to happen. Now, also, you got to throw in there the fact that people like the girls from Girl Defined throw in all these extra caveats into dating and into relationships where, there's no kissing before marriage. You barely hold hands. There's definitely no sex before marriage. There's all these other extra pressures before you get married. So it makes finding someone that much harder. It also makes finding a relationship that you're willing to take to that next level that much harder. Because you don't know the real other side of that person until you've already signed on to be with this person for the rest of your life. They also don't believe in divorcing for, inexplicable reasons, because they believe that you can just work things out through the power of Christ or whatever. So, yeah, that's a problem. Where people like me believe in dating, finding out about the person. Yes, there's going to be sex before marriage because you have to find out if you're compatible with that person or not. I'm not saying, everything, there are things about sex that can be learned about a person. Say you're doing something that doesn't technically fit in just right, so maybe tell your partner, hey, I don't like how you're doing that, maybe we should try it this way. But if your sexual appetites do not meet up, say you want sex all the time and he doesn't, or the opposite, that's something that needs to be addressed before you sign on to be with that person for the rest of your life. Anyway, then she goes on harping about the wedding budget and how are we going to be, feeding all these people. She said she even remembered crying one night and asking God things like, was it a mistake to invite so many people to my wedding? And how could I afford to feed all these people? And how could I possibly afford a photographer? Fear, worry, lack of trust. Okay, that is something I've never had to worry about because my weddings were both justice of the peace that just went to the courthouse and got married. I do not believe in these gigantic, fantastic, freaking weddings that are tens of thousands of dollars. I think it is ridiculous for one day. I understand some people are just like, oh, but it's the memories and blah, 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 blah. If that's how you want to waste your money, go for it. I, on the other hand, do not believe that you need all of that if your intention is to get married. If your intention is to get married, you can get married by just going to the justice of the peace. You can get married by having a small ceremony. You can get married a number of ways that are not going to be some exorbitant, funfair thing where all these people are getting invited and you're spending all of this like exorbitant amount of money. It does not have to be this big funfair. The reason why people spend all of this money is more of a show. It's more of a look what I have, look what I can do. It is not about the two of you. It is more about look at our bank account, look at how much money we have. So, she brings in the fear, worry, lack of trust thing again. Then she goes on to, in the end, I got married and watched God miraculously provide for all of our wedding needs and desires. That wasn't God. That was y'all managed to squeak it out with your bank account. Probably family chipped in, probably a whole lot of other things that happened behind the scenes, but you're thanking God for it instead of thanking the people that chipped in on the wedding. She goes on to talk about the picturesque vision. Then she also goes into talking about kids. She said after 3 years of marriage, I had nothing to show except 2 challenging miscarriages and a house distinctly void of children's laughter. Which, yes, I am sorry that you've had to go through miscarriages. A few of us have had to go through that. It is not an easy thing. And that is a sad thing. I'm not going to go any further into that, and I won't ever say anything bad about that. And she goes into asking God questions about why can't she get pregnant and things of that nature, and then she follows that up with the fear, worry, lack of trust. She said now they just celebrated their 8 years of marriage. She states that God has shown her that her lack of faith has opened her mind to her not having a baby worry. Now here's my thing. There are some people that just cannot conceive. That is true in a broad spectrum. The words are just not working with me today. A broad spectrum of people. Does not mean that you're never going to have a child. There are other avenues that you can pursue in having children. There is medical options for having children. There's adoption. There's a myriad of options for children if that is what you are so desiring. So that there are options there. She said that over this past year, God has been doing big work in my heart. And she goes on, but this is what got me. She said that it has shown her freedom through surrender. There is no freedom when you surrender. That is an oxymoron. There is no freedom in surrender. So just mark that one out. So then she goes on to say that there are 7 life-giving truths for overcoming worry and fear, which is the title of this article. She posted this, Kristen Clark posted this on September 20th, and now we're finally getting into the 7th truths. So let's go on into that. So the first one she says is, the same God who created you can be trusted with the details of your life. And then she quotes Matthew 6:25, which says, therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing? Okay, well here's the thing. You need to worry about what you're going to eat. You need to worry about what you're going to wear. And I can say that from a place and where when my daughter was alive and I could not work, I spent 7 years on a very tight budget where I did have to worry about day to day. Am I going to have enough food for us to eat? There were times where for a week straight, the only thing I had to eat was rice and beans, so that I made sure that my son had a well-balanced meal to promote his healthy growth. Me as the adult, I lived off of ramen noodles, rice, and beans, while my son, the growing child, had meat and vegetables and potatoes and cereal and milk and things of that nature so that he could grow and be healthy. I didn't see anybody providing for us at that point in time. There was no magical, like, hey, here's some food for you today. And when it came to clothing, I was relegated to my birthday, my parents would give me some clothes. Christmas, my parents would give me some clothes. So I got clothing 2 times a year, and I had to stretch that out to make sure that I had clothes to cover my backside. Where my kids, I made sure whatever little leftover money I could scrape together, or if I walked around and picked up cans, or if, there was, my ex-husband would throw scrap at me, for me to go scrap it and have a little bit of extra cash during, some months, I would buy my kids clothes. There was no God giving me money or giving me clothes or giving me food. It was my hard work and diligence making sure we had food and clothes and things to make sure that we had lights, so we had heat and air and things of that nature. There was nobody providing for us. I did it. So yes, you have to worry about these things. Ask the homeless people that are living in our country. Ask the homeless vets that have served this country where they get their next meal from. I guarantee you it's not floating down from the heavens to them. Number 2, worry about the future hinders life for today. She quotes Matthew 6:26 and says, look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they are? Now, let's take that one on. If you pay attention to birds, there are also wise old sayings. Early bird gets the worm. You also pay attention during the winter. Birds fly south for the winter. Birds go where the food is. If there's no food in your area, there are no birds. So I don't know where you're getting this kind of... This is not something that happens. There's not worms falling from the sky to feed the birds. The birds are working for their food. But I digress. She moves on to point number 3. Worrying is more harmful than helpful. Matthew 6:27. And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? Now, this one I actually agree with. Worrying is not good for your health. It raises your blood pressure. It does lower your lifespan. But it is also a normal part of your life. Everybody worries about something. It just depends on how much of your life you worry about. My husband gets on to me all the time about how much I worry about things, because I constantly worry about, is this bill paid? Is that bill paid? Do we have enough to do this? Do we have enough to do that? And he constantly gets on to me about, you are no longer living in that period of your life where you don't have enough money to pay everything. But in my head, I'm still living in that life period. It is just how I am. So, yes, that is actually true. It does not help you emotionally, physically, mentally to worry all the time, but you do have to worry to a certain extent. You just have to do it in a way in which you are not constantly in a state of worry. You do need to be mindful of your finances. You do need to be mindful of the things that you need to do. But you don't need to be at that point of anxious worrying where you can't get enough sleep. You don't, you're just tightly wound so much that you can't enjoy life. So this is actually a point of hers that I do agree with. Number 4. God does not ignore those who depend on him. For this one, she quotes Matthew 6:28 through 30, which says, and why are you anxious about clothing? Why are we bringing this back up again? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? And I'm not even going to touch that one. Number 5, God sees your every need and will provide for you according to his good plan. And for this, she quotes Matthew 6:31 through 32. Therefore, do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the Gentiles seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. Again, these are just repetitive. We've already covered this. There is no food falling from the sky. Yes, there's water falling from the sky, but in today's society with all the pollutants falling around, you need to cleanse that water before you drink it. But there's no clothing falling from the sky. These are things that you have to actually take the time to make sure that you have. So again, I do not see things that I need falling from the sky. I need another tire for my truck. It's not just falling out of the sky for me to go, oh, here's the tire I need. Let me go put it on my truck. I don't see the shirt that I need falling out of the sky going, oh, well, there's that shirt I need. Here we go. I don't see the sneakers my son needed for school falling out of the sky. I saw the hours that I had to work and my husband had to work and the money we had to make. Then we had to go to the store and buy said sneakers so that my son had the sneakers to wear to school. These are the things I see. I do not see things magically falling out of the air when a need is spoken. You know, these are not the things I'm seeing. We are called to build God's kingdom, and worrying distracts us from his mission. She quotes Matthew 6:33, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Okay. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I was at one point religious. I was raised Southern Baptist, and for those of you that don't know what Southern Baptists are, they are like the fire and brimstone preaching Southern preachers that you've seen in your, on TV. They're kind of like evangelists, but way scarier. Everything you think, everything you say is going to send you directly to hell. You don't drink, you don't cuss, you don't do anything because it's going to send you to hell. But during the week, you might find your pastor's vehicle behind some bar in town because that's the way the world works. But I was raised Southern Baptist. Went to church every Wednesday, every Sunday. Went to the children's events, VBS, every time they had a VBS. And as many churches that are in this area, you went to VBS practically all summer long. But when it came time, and I begged God for the things that I needed, in times that I needed God, I heard nothing. All of my good works, every pen pal program, every Christmas shoebox program that they did, everything that was done at the church, we did. I did it. I was there. Donations there, all of it there. But the times in which I sincerely, openly hearted asked for God to be there, I got silence. Deafening silence. When I'd ask a question, when I'd ask why something was some way, or why this happened, or could you explain this, I got berated. And for someone just to say, seek God's kingdom. Well, when you seek God's wisdom and you seek God's answers and you seek for understanding and you get nothing, not even a whisper, not even a point in the right direction, not a flicker, and you ask questions and you're berated for asking questions, it has you start questioning. And then when you take a very deep dive look and you see the world around you and you see the things that are going on, your eyes become very open. And that's exactly what happened to me. And none of this shows you the way. So number 7, she says, living wholeheartedly today keeps us from being consumed with worry about tomorrow. And she quotes Matthew 6:34, therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Well, if I don't worry today about certain things for tomorrow, like if I don't worry today about how I'm going to pay the rent tomorrow, if I don't worry today about how I'm going to feed my family tomorrow, I become lazy and I become complacent and things don't get done the way things should be done. And that puts you in a situation where you don't do the things you're supposed to do, which can lead you into situations like being homeless or being in a situation where your children are starving or you do not have clothing or a myriad of other problems. So there are times to worry and then there are times not to worry. As an adult, you learn the times to worry and the times not to worry. You have to do an equal balance. You worry some, you have fun sometimes, you learn to live life, and that is what an adult is. Children don't worry as much. They have fun all the time because us adults, we pick up the worry slack. So then she goes on to kind of go, I hope these, 7 powerful truths have brought some hope into your life, blah, 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 blah. Well, most of these are the exact same thing over and over and over again. So no, it doesn't bring anything. Plus, you keep bringing in these scriptures that do not do anything. They, it keeps talking about, God provides for the birds, God provides for you. Like I said, nothing's magically falling from the sky to clothe me or feed me or house me or keep me warm or anything. So, no, that doesn't do anything to comfort. Then she goes on to say, the more we fill our mind with God's truth, the easier it will be to comfort lies and worry. No, because if you actually look at the Bible, there are so many contradictions in the Bible. It's more likely that you're going to find lies and worry in the Bible than you will if you just try to live your life as a normal person and do right and wrong based off of how you want people to do right and wrong around you. She also says, God's word has the power to transform your perspective and give you hope and peace today. No, it doesn't. It actually fills me with some things like anger. I feel deceived. It feels fundamentalist, which also gives me more anger because you have people like these fundamentalists that like to attack people with their Bibles and with what they perceive the word to say. That's the problem, is the Bible has been passed down through so many hands and so many translations that they can't even tell you if this is the actual same Bible that was written 2,000 years ago. And there are so many different interpretations of the Bible, that so many different ways of seeing this, that everybody has their own opinion. But you can't say that, because then that angers them. And people will beat you to death over their interpretation of this book. And that is poisonous. Just like every other Girl Defined blog, they like to end it all with questions. So the questions that Kristen chose to close this one out is, in what ways are you struggling to trust God today? What tempts you to worry? Well, I don't struggle to trust God in any way because I frankly don't believe that there is one. But in what ways, what tempts you to worry? Well, things like, housing, food, bills, normal things, Is my kid happy? Are things good? Is he going to be safe at school? Things of that nature. Then the other question is, which of the numbers from above did you find most helpful? Well, I actually didn't find any of them helpful, but the only one of the 7 that I agreed with was number 3, which is worrying is more harmful than helpful. I do believe that sometimes it is more harmful, sometimes it is helpful, but if you worry too much, it is harmful. So I'm going to end that there. That is the end of her blog. Like I said, this is titled 7 Life-Giving Truths for Overcoming Worry and Fear by Kristen Clark, which was posted on the Girl Defined blog on September 20th, 2019. I already do have another blog from their blog section already ready to go and review. That will be a separate posting at another time. I am also looking at a couple of other blogs from, Transformed Wife of all people. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell in the comment section down below. Let me know which of these 7 truths did you find helpful. What do you think about these truths? What did you think about this article? And in the description box down below, you'll find my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my email. Sorry guys, I just got off work and I have to go back and work a 12-hour shift tonight, so I'm a little loopy. But anyway, guys, if you have anything that you want me to discuss, you can send it to me on any of those platforms, and if I do a video on it, I will shout you out in that video so that you know that you're the reason behind that video. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me today, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.